Shalom, this is Avraham Shira. Welcome to Eretz Israel, Parshat Shelach, the Parsha of the spies, the Parsha of the bad report that was given to the Jewish people that made them cry out and fear for going into the land, fear for inheriting the promise to Abraham, fear of, the Zohar says, of losing their status that they had already attained when they were in the desert. You know, fear of losing status is a real thing if you're attached to your status. Now, well, you work hard for your whole life to become somebody. But the somebody is the question, you know. But there's a principle at work here. When the spies came back and said the famous verse, Eretz Ochelet Yoshveah, Rabbi Nachman gives us a new take on that verse, and it's really important to understand this because it describes the relationship between the physical and the spiritual, between the matter and the energy. And that relationship gives man his place in the world. It gives us the ability to understand who we are and why we're here and what we're here to do. Because man is the confluence of the spiritual and the physical. We are both. We are torn. We are in friction. We are in storm. And when we reach peace, we become godlike. Because we embrace both the physical and the spiritual as God does. And if we look further into our telescope in time, we'll see that this is really the promise, the end game of this world is this union of the physical and the spiritual where they're no longer fighting. The ger kevis the wolf and the lamb, you know, that deal, the lions and tigers and bears are all going to get along. Nobody's going to eat up anybody anymore. But the land, we're told, does eat us up, you know. But it doesn't hurt. We're not getting chewed on over here. What's going on? So the people said that Eretz Ochelet Yoshveah, Rabbi Nachman says that the Eretz is the Holy Land is the aspect of faith. And that faith consumes a person's being. What you believe in is who you become. If you believe in money, you become money. If you believe in a statue, you become a statue. If you believe in fame, then you become a vehicle of fame. But when the lights go down, what's left? See, the thing about fame is, you know, and social media has created this, that fame has now become a commodity in the world. Fame is something that Facebook has been selling us wholesale for years, and all the other social media. But it's a commodity that has no inherent value except to extract from it a personality projection. But it's not really who we are. Because if you think about fame, if you want to be famous, what you're asking for is people to think about you. Instead of thinking about God, or instead of thinking about becoming better people, you want to be on people's minds. Is that really what we want? No, I want to be on God's mind. You know, I want him to think about me and be happy he made me. I want to do the things that happens with. I want to do the things that God says, oh, look, Avraham, he's getting it done. But fame, it distracts us from the goal. Okay, but let's not get too far afield here. The Rebbe tells us that the land consumes the people, means that the power of faith in the land consumes you and makes you something else. It makes you part of the land. Just like when you have faith in the righteous, faith in the tzaddik, whether it's Rabbi Nachman or Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai or Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Lubavitch, whoever your Rebbe is, when you believe in him, you become part of him. his teachings, his statements, his videos, his mitzvot, whatever it was that you believe in, you become that. So this is a principle we have to remember. What we believe in is what we become. And that's why King David says in Tehillim, everyone who makes the statues becomes the statue, the idol. I don't want to be an idol. I want to be a statue. It's embarrassing. Okay. So, but this concept goes further. Not only does the land consume you with its power, its holiness, and make you a person of faith, and not only does the soul of the tzaddik consume you with his teachings and it makes you a new person as well, your body consumes its food and you become your food. And so maybe that makes us think twice about what we eat. Because every single thing that goes into us becomes part of us. And when our food is poisoned, and our food is processed, and our food is made in ways that God did not intend, at least, well, in some people's opinion, then what am I putting in myself? Something artificial, something unreal. And that becomes who we are. Is it any wonder that we eat processed fast food and then suddenly our life changes? Our bodies change. Our attitude changes. Because we become that. Because we somehow believe that I would have more pleasure from buying a pre-made product from a factory far away it's drenched in chemicals that keep it fresh on the shelf, right? I think you guys know what I mean. But it goes further. That just like our food becomes our bodies, our faith becomes our soul, the soul consumes the body, just as the body consumes food. And the ultimate example of that, of course, is the world to come. The world to come. The great Shabbat. 1,000 years. It's a long time. It's a long Shabbat. Never have to go back to work on Sunday or Monday. But think about it. What happens in the world to come is that heaven, we don't go up to heaven. Heaven slowly emerges here. The light of God slowly overwhelms the vessels of physicality and consumes them. So the world to come is consuming this world, the finite realm, and turning it into it. So then how could we have, then if we think about this for a second, wait a minute, what did he just say? That the world to come comes down here and it consumes the physical and makes it spiritual and makes peace between the two. Think about that long enough, you could see it's not so hard to believe in the most difficult concept in Judaism. It's called the revival of the dead. In my opinion, it's the hardest thing for the rational thinking person to grasp. The revival of the dead. What is this? The Night of the Living Dead? It's another cheap Hollywood Saturday afternoon movie? No. It's not about mummies coming back in the graveyard. It's about the light of God embellishing and renewing and restoring the physical to its original beauty and perfection. And its ability to transpose spirituality through the physical. So that we'll look at each other and we'll see souls. We won't see bodies. We won't see, this one's skinny, this one's fat, this one's beautiful, this one's not. All that kind of stuff will be so far from our consciousness. And that's what Shabbat is. A tiny bit of main Olam Haba. This Shabbat, every Shabbat, is a little taste of where the spiritual becomes predominant. And the physical becomes weaker. And when it becomes weaker, I eat differently, I think differently, I feel differently, I pray differently, I learn differently. Everything changes. From that little shift in the balance between the physical and the spiritual. So how could we possibly live without Shabbat? How can we go on? How can we face Sunday morning and get up and do it again? You know, long before I was religious, when I was a kid, I said that I got my first job and I said, is this it? You work, you take the money, you go pay your bills and eat and go to sleep and do it again. Is that why I'm here? Is that it? It can't be. There's too much suffering in the world to justify that kind of lifestyle. And that thinking got me on the road. It led to Jerusalem and led to being here today. So, you know, when we talk about this idea of the land consuming its inhabitants, it's consuming our materialism. It's consuming our attachments to things that let us down. Things that don't really come through with the long-term pleasure. Like Torah, like meditation on Torah, like prayer about your Torah, like your own words to God. Amen, Diogo. God should do it now, and He's doing it now. Hayom b'kol tishma'u. Eliyahu Navi told Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi in the Shuk in Jerusalem, Mashiach, God, that overwhelming light can be today if you hear His voice, which should teach us a very big secret. That it's the voice itself is the vehicle of the transformation. Because the voice is the vessel of the light. It's hearing that voice that transforms us. That knows deep inside there's some piece of us talking to us from some high realm. And when you just hear one word of that voice, you can't be the same. And when you hear it one time, you just want to hear it again and again and again. And then you live in Shabbat. And in the middle of the week, you're thinking about Shabbat. And in the middle of the week, you're buying stuff for Shabbat and you're preparing for Shabbat. And because you know that I am the best me on Shabbat. That life is the best on Shabbat. That anything less than Shabbat is really part of the 39 curses of Adam in the garden. Those 39 curses were 39 works. The land was cursed, the snake was cursed, Hava was cursed, Adam was cursed. Altogether 39. But we're working for the end game, folks. We're working for when all this is transformed. And if it's today, yes, we hear the voice, you will get a piece of it today. And on Shabbat, we get a piece just by doing the basic mitzvot of Shabbat. And if we break it, okay, we pick it up and do it again. We go back. We go and forward. The worst thing we can do that the evil inclination wants to do is make us feel bad about our service. Who made me perfect? Did that happen? Where'd that imagination come from of being perfect? Perfect is God's. I don't need to be perfect. I need to be happy and joyous in the process. Whatever you're doing, God bless you to be happy with what you're doing at the moment, because we can only do one thing at one time. We can only have one thought at one time. And the mixtures of feelings that we get are because our vessel is too cloudy. But this Shabbat and every Shabbat, you get a taste of the world to come. You drag it down into the week, and slowly we transform our lives, our family, our community, and it just gets more and more exponentially greater. So there's a critical mass of good, of spirituality. That's what knocks out the evil, folks. The evil will take care of itself. And the evil, in the end, the Zohar says that the real evil, I'm not going to go into the labels and the names and the people that carry that. It has to destroy itself, and it always has. If you look at human history, it's not that the good defeats the evil. Evil always comes back. It's evil defeats itself. And then you're sitting, when the dust all settles, and the light shines, and the fresh air comes back again, and the clean water, and the clear vision. And we'll have another taste of the true Shabbat, the eternal, and then we'll see it's a whole new universe. God bless you all. Shabbat Shalom. We'll see you next week on all the platforms. And don't listen to the wrong voice, because there's one inside you that is ultimately always perfect and true.